You know, when the president said we needed to inoculate 4.8 million individuals before we even think about reopening tertiary institutions and also the universities, well, Morning at NTV talked about the fact that it might not be achieved, that we might hit November minus achieving the 4.8 million vaccinations. But then the National Council of Higher Education actually threw caution to the wind and decided we are going to be reopening institutions of higher learning. I'm talking about tertiary institutions and also universities alike. They did pass out some guidelines that is a week ago that will be used by these institutions as they clamor for a full reopening as of yesterday, Monday. So I do have Ruben Tinomjuni, the spokesperson for Kyambogo University, who's here to talk about the experience on day one of the full reopening of tertiary institutions and also those universities. We do know before they broke off, these learners had only studied for over a month. Yes. Only a month. So meaning they'll have to focus too much on first-year students. That's according to Kyambogo University. They're saying if you're a fresh student entering Kyambogo University, the focus is going to be on the first-year students. All of them are going to be physically on the campus. No online studies for you. You're going to be physically on the campus. Maybe for those other art students, they're going to be operating online. And also those who are going to be dealing with heavy practical subjects, they're going to be physically on the campus. Those are the science learners or students, if you will. And also those with special needs, they'll be physically on the campus. INCHE, National Council for Higher Education, is also saying those learners who had already paid tuition back before we closed in June should also be allowed to continue minus paying school fees. But Ruben shall be interesting us with the modalities of that or how it's being executed at Kyambogo universities. Are they going to be paying fresh, and how are they grappling with the full reopening? A very good morning, Ruben Tinomjuni.
Good morning.
All right, take us through the experience on day one. The viewer is eager to know how many students did you receive, because you did have so many prophets of doom who are saying, even though they reopen, lesser students are going to be clamoring for the re-entry into these education institutions. Number one, because they got married off. Number two, because some got pregnant. Others because they sought alternative sources of livelihood and so forth. For the teachers, high levels of teacher attrition. Others decided bricklaying, chapati making, because the teaching profession is not making any more money. So we thought when the education institutions reopen, there might not be any lecturers. When the education institutions reopen, there might not be any learners in that regard, or even structures to begin with, because many of these institutions sold off their structures in the face of very biting loans. So in a nutshell, what was the experience on day one?
Yeah, for us, Kyambogo University, it was different. It was a good experience. Students were very many, very many.
I see.
We had communicated to them that they can come on Saturday and Sunday, so that the Monday is not reporting but studying. Indeed. We kick off immediately.
So lecturers took center stages?
Yes. But they came earlier. They had come, I think, a week or two earlier. And they were
camping
there
at the campus.
They were there camping, getting, vaccinating, getting used and getting accommodation. So they were there. And yesterday was life again. Students were everywhere doing all sorts of things, registering, visiting, checking, relaxing, meeting themselves, and actually settling in. And lectures actually went on. Those that didn't go on the lectures, at least students were relaxing and getting used.
Besides relaxation, because they could paint a different picture, because we've been getting stories about how the COVID-19 pandemic messed up the psychological state of many of the learners. So largely, how were they doing as far as their psychological welfare is concerned? What were you seeing on their faces as they took center stage at the university?
You know, you don't see everyone because
mental health is not visible.
They are there. They can be excited. They are happy. Unless you get one-on-one and talk to them, and you can't talk to everybody, you will not know their story. But we have, in several communications we have told them that we have a full-fledged counseling department.
Amazing.
Just visit. Just
talk to someone.
Yeah, talk to someone. Don't worry, these are confidential. They will not disclose anyone's story. They are professionals. So we have it. Even now, I make a call to all the students that if you have anything you would want to discuss with a counselor, our counseling unit is very ready to receive you, and they are professional.
The National Council for Higher Education says if I were able to front all my school fees before the closure of these education institutions, with the reopening, I shouldn't be paying any money. is this being affected at Kyambogo University? Or are you still asking for more money from the learners?
No, for those who completed the semester,
Indeed.
and they are doing a new semester, you don't, if you did the final semester and it was done, then that's it.
Indeed.
But if the semester was cut short, then you can, if you had paid, then that's it. But note that because last semester you went, you are not going to pay. If you completed the semester and this is a new semester, then you will have to pay.
Indeed. Also, we also do know that Kyambogo University is not asking for vaccination cards for one to make their way to this university, and you're not also clamoring for the production of the same. Why? Because the National Council of Education has come out to say all learners have to be vaccinated before they head over to these institutions. Don't you think there will be a clash between you and INCHE?
No. There's no clash. We work together. We cooperate. We have the same goal to shoot in. We, as I told you, students came earlier, and they have been vaccinating. In fact, for the last 2 weeks, if you went to Kyambogo at 11th vaccinate, you'll find no vaccinations because students came and they were vaccinating, and even staff. We have a high percentage.
But they're single shots.
Yeah, for the single shot. Some are coming for the second one. And so students have been away for all this time. They have their challenges. They are just reporting. And you said, don't enter the university. We said, let people settle in first, but also access the vaccines. We don't know where they come from, whether they had access to the vaccines. And now that they have come where the vaccines are, you said don't enter. I think it would be, we felt we can do it differently. Let them come, settle in, and take vaccinations. And we have done several short videos that we are circulating on their platforms, and even communication has been made to them, urging them to vaccinate. And they are actually doing it.
Indeed.
So we don't have to say, no, don't come. Because even when they enter and they get to know there is a vaccination site, they vaccinate.
So you felt like COVID-19 had already inconvenienced these learners. So you felt like with the reopening and them coming to the education institutions, they shouldn't focus too much on vaccination, but rather their learning. And
and this is day one. And this is day one.
But aren't you worried that you may realize that many of the students who are not vaccinated might be at risk of infection, or at worst, at risk to each other?
No, but you
because
see,
like you said, by 11 a.m. all the vaccinations are used up. So aren't you worried that at some point when you do not have these vaccinations, but yet you have so many learners at the campus, aren't you worried that they may be able to infect each other?
The reason the vaccines are used is that so many of them come and they use them. And the following day, they bring more. They still use it. The following day, they bring more. So that shows that there is a lot, there is a major turn-up of students who are vaccinating. And since the exercise is going on, and it's day one, we said let's leave them to vaccinate. And even staff and students, they are all vaccinating in large numbers. So you don't have to say don't come in the university, but they want to vaccinate. So really, we are strongly encouraging vaccination. And in every communication we have made, we have emphasized that, and we continue to do it, that they should vaccinate. Those who vaccinated and they got the first jab, they can get the second one. Those who have not got, they should get, so that everybody gets, and the staff also are getting. So there is good turn-up, there is good progress. Maybe you need to know that Kyambogo University is a vaccination, the medical center is a vaccination site.
Indeed.
So we do it within, and we need to give them an opportunity to vaccinate. Also, no one accesses the university at all the gates, all access points of the university. There are hand-washing facilities. Big tanks supplied by national water. There is constant supply of water. And no one goes beyond that point without washing their hands. And also, no one accesses the university without a mask.
Indeed.
The security men at the gates emphasize that they have their masks on. And the classes have been made in such a way that they are well spaced. And for big classes, we have reduced them into small ones to fit into the classes. You may need to know that we have classes of over 1,000 students. Those can't study together. And you may also know that need to know that we have we are doing a blended approach to teaching and learning. Some are online, while others are physical. As you rightly said, those of first years and science courses that have serious practicals, those ones are physical. and others. And they will be online for 2 weeks. Then these who are physical will be online also for 2 weeks, and that makes the spacing.
In a situation whereby you have 1,000 students in one class, what are you doing to ensure social distancing is expedited in that regard?
Two things. We have cut them into groups.
I see.
They all don't sit together in one class. Some they are into groups, but also online. Some are online, some are physical. When those on online come physical, those who are physical will go online. So that's how we have managed to reduce it, and it's working.
And what kind of provisions have you put in place just in case you detect that one single case owed to COVID-19? Do you close again as Kyambogo University? What do you do?
No, we have our medical center within the university, and we have a standby ambulance, and we are in touch with the Ministry of Health and all the facilities. So we are okay, we are ready, we are prepared in case of anything. We will manage it because we can manage them here as we see how to transport them again. So it is all this time we have been planning, and having been closed twice, now we have closed all the gaps and we are ready.
Let's talk about ICT integration within our education sector. Many of the students were unable to study online, while others were actually lucky because they did have the technology, they did have the gadgets and so forth, and even the data to get onto the internet. You'd have a 12% tax on data. So many of them were unable to continue with their learning. So how largely is Kyambogo University trying to bridge that gap between those who did not study online and those who were able to study online? How are you able to make those two meet at some level?
The faculty and consequently the departments have been given an opportunity to identify those who did not study online because studying online was on. And in fact, you would start with many students, but they keep reducing as data goes.
Open distance e-learning.
But the lecturers will manage, will see who didn't and who did, and then they will see how to do it. They will manage it at that level to compensate for the lost time.
Let's talk about the adoption of the open distance e-learning system. Is it feasible to adopt this kind of strategy on a sustainable or on a longer, long-term basis? Is it sustainable? Because we're talking about universities and other institutions that do not have ICT infrastructure integrated even before the COVID-19 pandemic. Is this sustainable?
The challenge is at an individual level. There are students who don't even have a smartphone.
I understand.
Absolutely, they don't have. There are those who don't have electricity at home to charge their gadgets. There are those who cannot afford data whatsoever. But for the university, we are prepared. And we feel this time, since they are here, it's easier. Because as the university, we have 146 hotspots within the university. So the whole university is internet connected. Wherever you go, under a tree, in a classroom, in a restaurant, you will find Wi-Fi. You will access. And so it makes it easy to study while at Kyambogo. Even those without phones, without smartphones, they can go to the computer lab and study.
But do you think this is going to be a major problem for other education institutions that do not have ICT infrastructure integrated within their premises?
Definitely, yes. If you don't have ICT, then it's a challenge. But for us, we have. Those who don't have, it's definitely going to be a challenge. But of course, as time goes by, the rest they need, they'll have to make sure that they invest in that area because it's the way to go. We cannot now run away from ICT in education. There is the way to go. Even when COVID is no longer a big threat, we will still need to adopt those measures.
Indeed.
Yeah, so we urge everybody to think in that direction and invest in that infrastructure, ICT infrastructure, because it's the way to go.
Well, they would want to invest, but we are talking about institutions that have been battered by COVID-19. We had many of them had to close shop because they couldn't pay rent. First of all, others couldn't pay loans, so they had to shut down. Others transformed their premises into accommodation centers, hotels, and so forth. So issues to do with investment in ICT would not even be, discussed in such institutions. Shouldn't we be talking about a grant maybe coming in from the government for these private players?
If the government has the money and can invest, it will be a good thing. because...
Is it about if government has the money, shouldn't this be a priority to Nomjuni? Because you're talking about integration of ICT and the future being continued learning online. So if we do not help these education institutions to integrate online, we might leave some students behind.
It's a major area that needs support, by all means, because we need all of them. All the students cannot be absorbed by those students that have the capacity, like Kyambogo and others. So by support, because we will take a few, and other universities with the capacity will take a few, and others will remain. So there is need to support them in whichever way they can to make sure that they catch up and everybody gets served.
But of course, we cannot only just talk about planting the ICT within the premises. You need people who are going to be operating these machines or this technology, and those are the lecturers and those are the teachers. But then we are getting information that many of these teachers can't even operate an email. So if you can't operate an email, how will you operate a Word document? How will you operate an iPad?
Training.
So you're talking about a trainer who is not trained in ICT, how they pass on information to the learners who need it.
No, they can be trained. They can be trained, really. You see, the system, when the system is in place and the things are clear, it's a matter of telling a lecturer that this is, for example, Zoom or Google Meet or any other platform, and this is how you do it. And you can attach, you may need to employ some more people in the ICT department to support these other ones. One, there can be a training. You get them, you train them for 2-3 days, hands-on, and then they can move on. It's a big challenge, but it's the way to go. It's something we must do. It's a must do.
Indeed. Has Kyambogo University expedited any expansion strategies to ensure social distancing within your area? Have you erected new structures?
No, we have enough. We have enough structures. As I told you, Kyambogo has buildings, has structures in place, and we have, as I have told you, some are online, while others are physical. So that way we are reducing the numbers at the university, and some had covered March, some had almost completed. So those ones will not have to come and crowd at the university. They will wait for exam time, and the classes, the structures, we have them. We have so far distanced them. If you go, you will see the seating arrangement is in that line.
And you're sure even during exam time, when all the learners come to their exams physically on the campus, there will be social distancing?
Yes, definitely, yes. It will be there.
Talk to us about the other services that are being offered by Kyambogo University, because I understand it's not only offering lectures to these learners, there are other services that you offer for the university. How will you be expediting these during the COVID-19 pandemic and in light of the adherence to SOPs?
No, we have quite a number of things that we do, but we have many structures. And what we do is to make sure that even the timetable, during exam time, by the way, some will do in the evening, others in the morning, and even over the weekend, to make sure that we don't have as many people together at the same time. So some can come over the weekend, others in the evening, others in the morning, so that you don't bring everybody to do exams. That way, the structures are available and enough, and the seats are there, but the students are also many. So what we do is phasing them out phasing in such a way that when some are available, others are away. When others come, others are not there, even using the weekend. That way, we will be able to do exams and everything else that we have at the university.
What challenges have you encountered since Monday, since you actually reopened for these learning to take center stage?
It's only yesterday. But the challenges include when students come and find that me and you, we were friends, we have been friends for a long time, but you belong to B and I'm in A, we are not going to sit. They want to find the other people, but the lecturers already know that I'm going to manage this number and that's it. And we have a COVID-19 task force which oversees the implementation of standard operating procedures. So the task force, which I'm a member, we go monitoring. Are people wearing masks? Even the lecturers, you must have the mask on at all times while in the public. And the challenge, the people want to be together. The university students love hugging, they love together, social life.
Handshakes.
Handshakes, but we have told them, please, this is not working. And we move around, say, mask, then they put them on. But also there is serious checking, especially accessing the university. And some of the people who are using the university as their transit, they have been inconvenienced in a way because you have reduced the number of people to access the university. You are either a student or a staff at Kyambogo to access the university. And people have been inconvenienced and they make phone calls all through, but we say, please, for our safety and for the good of the university, use a different route. Those are some of the challenges. Students want to enjoy their life, but we said, no, this is it. And being day one, those are the challenges we encountered. As I told you, they came a little earlier and were prepared enough. They prepared where they are staying, they prepared everything. So yesterday was just coming to report and study, which didn't bring much challenge.
As Kyambogo University, what do you think government ought to be doing to ensure a sustainable and full reopening so that we do not go back to a lockdown? These institutions remain open moving forward, even in light of COVID-19.
The government has done much of what they're supposed to do. They have informed us, they have supported us, they have kept the salaries for staff paid even when there were no students going on. And it's now an individual responsibility to cooperate with the government. For example, the government will not take us to prison if you don't have masks. You need to know that I need a mask and put it on. If, for example, you need to social distance. And now that we have opened, really, it's our responsibility as lecturers, as staff and students to work together so that we avoid any reoccurrence of the pandemic in the university.
Indeed. All right, that is Ruben Tinomjani, the spokesperson for Kyambogo University. Thank you very much for having made the time to speak to us.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you
Indeed.
so much.
Well, education institutions, largely tertiary institutions and universities, opened, that is yesterday on Monday. And Morning at NTV is clamoring for a sustainable reopening so that we do not go back to a lockdown. If you notice a COVID-19 case or infection within your jurisdiction, please report. Do not sit on it. When you sit on it, it will increase, they will burgeon, and then you'll have a full-blown COVID-19 invasion within your jurisdiction, and it will be closing, and there will be a third wave. We'll be losing your institution at some point, and the learners and the lecturers who won't be paid, especially if you are running a private institution. Morning at NTV is also calling on to the government to actually save the private institutions because they are the biggest players within the education sector if you are going to ensure a sustainable reopening. We'll be right back with more information right here on Morning.